Welcome, welcome, welcome to Queer Conversations. I'm your host, G of Verity TV. I'm here every Tuesday, 6 p.m. EST, sharing LGBTQ stories. My guest today is Octavia Kingskid.
Octavia Kingskid in the building.
Yeah, in the building.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And Octavia is singer, songwriter, hip-hop artist.
Yes.
Right? So I want to invite everybody to join the conversation, ask questions, leave your comments, share this Facebook Live. Thank you for joining, everyone.
Hello.
Yes. And so, hey, Anne-Marie, you came on right away. Really appreciate it. So here with Octavia Kingskid, singer, songwriter, hip-hop artist. So we'll jump right in.
Hi, Anne-Marie.
Yeah, tell us how you got started in the music industry.
I've been singing since I was a child. I can remember 2 or 3 years old singing with my grandmother as we walked to the bus stop, singing old spirituals, walking to the bus stop to get to school. So I've been singing pretty much all my life. My father comes from a singing family.
Wonderful.
My grandmother sings, so I've been singing forever, yeah.
And how did you get to actually start writing your own music?
I want to say I was like 13 years old. I started my own singing group with my peers, with my best friends. It was called For You to Envy.
Okay,
and
For You to Envy.
and we started writing music. So I've been writing music since I was 13.
Okay, wonderful.
13
We
years
have
old.
Queen San Luis says, beautiful artist. Yes, indeed. Beautiful
Hey,
artist.
Queen.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for joining. Share this conversation with your network. So what kind of lyrics or what kind of stories do you like to share in your music?
Everything. Love songs. My first single was it's entitled Michael Jackson. So I love Michael Jackson so much that I wanted my first song to be geared towards him. It's called Michael Jackson. It's spelled Michael, Michael, last name Jackson, Jackson. But it gives you that feel of fun and family and dancing, because that's what his music gave. His music was so moving. So I said my first single is going to be entitled Michael Jackson.
Why the XON?
The XON is for legal reasons. I didn't want anyone to be able to say, hey,
that makes sense.
I'm going to come after, I didn't want any of that. So when you hear the lyrics of the song, I talk about moonwalking in the song. Nice. They know it's Michael Jackson. It's just spelled differently.
Yeah. I like that's a great idea. Yeah. So you like Michael from the Jackson 5 Michael, Thriller Michael, all of it.
All of the Michaels, all the changes from the afro to the curly perm Michael Jackson. Yeah. I just love him, man.
And what do you think about the legacy he left? Like, I feel like there might be there's some controversy in his, like in terms of things that happened in his life. Do you think that takes away from his legacy as a musician?
I think for his fans it doesn't.
It doesn't.
For people who don't know him or just listen to the media. Right. The media seems to paint these pictures of us, as African Americans when something happens to us in such a negative way, but with others it's not that way. Right. Trying to find out, well, how did they die, or if they died from this or that, then it becomes super negative. I believe he left a great legacy, and for his fans, the music that he made will last for eternity. Right. I agree. It was amazing. No one can shatter what he did musically and what he did for us. Right. Musically.
Yeah, musically. I like that to make it clear. Hey, David, thanks for joining.
Hi, David.
And thanks for we miss you, but thanks for having us in your studio. So that's a good point. Like musically, and he's someone for me. Him and his brothers. I grew up listening to Jackson 5, and it's like I remember seeing the first time he did a moonwalk on this during Motown 25.
I know everybody.
I watched that over and
like
over.
Crying,
so
that was so amazing.
Yes. And how did you come up with the name Kingskid?
Kingskid, because of my spirituality. I'm a follower of Christ. Okay. I believe he's a king, and therefore I'm his child. I'm a king's kid. I'm God's child. So that's how I got the name Kingskid. That's first. God first for me, and then music and family and everything else.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're going to talk more about that. So when guests come on, I always ask people, how do they identify in terms of the LGBT community? How do you identify?
I always say I identify as Octavia.
Octavia.
Because I can't stand boxes.
Okay, I hear that.
I'm a free spirit. But people will call me things like a STEM because you see I wear makeup, but I'm like a tomboy. I wear my hats.
So let's talk about a little bit about what's a STEM.
So they say because you know, but they say I'm like a stud and a femme at the same time. Okay. So they put the two together and call me a STEM.
So yeah, so stud is more like masculine.
More like masculine,
right? And purely masculine. Well, mostly masculine, not purely, but mostly. So some people call me a stud because I present as like masculine clothing. Sometimes a stud might be also more like sports clothing when you have on. And tomboyer, right?
Or tomboyish,
right? And then so femme is someone who's very feminine. This, I like to share everything because I always assume that I don't want to assume that everybody knows what we're talking about, right? Because this Facebook is everywhere in the world, right? So then when you say STEM, you're mixing the stud, the masculine with the masculine with the femme. So things like you're wearing a baseball hat, which is supposed to be more masculine, but you're wearing lipstick,
But I'm wearing lipstick.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting. That's interesting.
So they'll say you're a STEM because I like makeup.
Okay.
So I'll put on makeup and I'll wear my tomboy clothes. But I've been like this all my life since I was a child.
And now, would you do something? Do you wear dresses?
I wear them every now and then, only if I feel like it.
Okay, so you wear.
Yeah, I also wear dresses.
Heels?
I don't have a problem with it. Heels I would wear, but I have this knee. Okay. So I'm not able to wear as much as I would probably like, but I do wear heels still. Okay. I like to dress comfortable.
Comfortable. You know? So would you put on like a shirt and tie?
Definitely. I wear shirt and tie.
So you pretty much will do whatever, which is wonderful.
I feel like
which is wonderful. I actually love that. So it sounds like you're comfortable in many different like whether like in terms of apparel, clothes, style, you're comfortable in a lot with very broad range.
Right, more androgynous.
Androgynous, which is great. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So now as being someone who's spiritual, how does it impact who you are in terms of your life and who you are in terms of the LGBTQ spectrum?
When I was much younger and I got saved, I was taught that it was wrong to be who I was created to be.
Oh, okay.
But when you realize it's a personal relationship with the creator of the universe. Right. Personal. He didn't call us to be clones. Right. He called us to have a relationship. Yeah. And therefore, in that relationship, I realized he never had a problem with me. Good. The creator never had a problem with me. It was people who had a problem with me. So you'll realize that the issue is never the creator, but the created beings. Mm-hmm. Wow. So they tend to put us in a box because this is what this says and take what scriptures they want to abuse and demonize people. But God, the creator of the universe, is love. Mm-hmm. Infinite. We can't even understand the love that he has for us. So when I understood that he was okay with me.
Right. So it's just really, it's some people who might be in the place of worship, who they're saying it's wrong.
Right, who they will say it's wrong.
Your relationship with, like you said, with God.
With God.
Right, is saying it's not wrong.
It's not wrong.
This is who I made you.
Right? You are fearfully and wonderfully made.
Okay. Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So I don't let anyone, there was a place and time when I was much younger where I would let that make me not want to be who I truly was. Right. But I would be doing God an injustice, a disservice to be something I'm not.
Well, this is a really powerful message. Yeah. I like this. Amen.
Yeah, so I'm a pastor.
And you are a pastor.
I am ordained pastor.
So Octavia, who's a singer, songwriter, and a hip hop artist, and I know you do R&B. You do music.
I do music. Yeah.
Do you do gospel as well?
I do gospel as well.
You're an ordained pastor. What's that process? And when did how that come into being? Because it's one thing to say, hey, I'm religious or I'm spiritual, right? But it's another level to say, I want to be able to lead, right? You're able to lead.
So not even a choice. God chooses you. I don't know if I necessarily would have said I want it. It comes with a lot, a lot of responsibility. To whom much is given, much is required. Right. But I feel like I was called for such a time as this. For the youth to know that it's okay to be who they are. That they really, it's really okay to be who you are and to go against the grain.
So do you have a following of people who are in the community, who are spiritual, who feel like accepted?
Queen San Luis is.
Okay, good.
There's a lot of my personal friends and family members who attend my church because it is accepting. Mm-hmm. Because it is inclusive. Okay. And my apostle knows exactly who I am.
Okay, good.
He knows who I am. He knows about my family.
So if you're a woman married to a woman,
it's okay.
Man married to a man,
it's okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it wouldn't normally be, he's from the islands, but God gave him a mandate. You know, he is not to judge. Jesus dealt with the sin issue at the cross. Mm-hmm. Why are we still beating people across the head with it? Right. If we said the sins were forgiven forever, then that's what it is. Right. Mm-hmm. So why are we still having this debate?
Why do you think it's so important to people?
Because people aren't always secure in who they are. Okay.
Yeah. So, well, it's interesting you say that because I share that I was homophobic. Mm-hmm. I was not religious, but came from, growing up in Jamaica, which is, they classify ourselves as a Christian culture. And many people live within it. The schools are Christian and so on, your public schools. And so some forms of homophobia comes with that. And I believe that me being homophobic was not being so secure in who I was in terms of being fearful that maybe I'm gay. And resenting people who had characteristics and feeling threatened by them and feeling upset. I remember feeling upset. Right. Even like a feminine boy, like what we call a sissy. Right. I was harsh because I felt like something's wrong with you. But now I see someone like that, I'm like, he's so fabulous. Right. He's so fabulous.
It's so funny that you say that because I dealt with that as well growing up. I had bisexual and gay family members. And I used to be like, that's just so odd. I would never. There's nothing. What would make me want to do that? And it had to be that insecurity because I had best friends who were gay men who were super feminine, and I over adored them and loved them. But when it came down to a woman who was a stud, or what they would call, which would be offensive, like a dyke or butch, or bull dagger, they call them. If they come up to me, I'm like about to fight, Right. So, but there had to be something in me that wasn't secure with myself.
Right, exactly.
Because a person who is secure with themselves don't care what you're doing.
Don't care.
They wake up and go about their business, their daily business. They don't care.
It's true.
But it's the people who have some things going on within themselves.
Questioning and insecurities. So
most of the time.
And I certainly had that. Thank you everyone for joining. Please feel free to ask. We want you to.
Hey, Vaughn.
And here's Queen San saying, I myself experienced the same thing with my family.
Yeah, she's Jamaican.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, well, I hope your family comes around. And if you want to ask any questions about Octavia, we have her here till about 6:30. Feel free to ask any questions about anything regarding her career, her life, and we're talking about her as a pastor, which is very, I think, needed in the community. There are people who feel that they can't be a part of the LGBT community and a faith community. So seeing and hearing your story it's very welcoming. I'm sure there are people who are going to watch this who have never even heard of that. Yeah. I was doing a presentation at a school here, and we're in Fort Lauderdale area, and someone said, well, no, I can't accept this because I am in the faith community. And I said, oh, no. There are faith communities that are accepting of the LGBT community. And she was stunned. She had never heard of this. Yeah. She was like, there is. I said, oh, yeah. There are churches, there are temples, there are mosques, there are many places of worship that welcome. Right. And so she had never even knew that existed. So there are people here who, and maybe you could share a little bit, like, if someone who's watching this, what are the things they should do to find that community? So someone out here is Christian or religious in some way and thinks because they're gay or in the community they can't find a place. How do they go about finding that place?
Right. Well, first off, I just believe that they should get in tune with themselves, pray, and seek guidance in what direction they should go. And go out there. Don't be afraid. Visit the church and see if that is a community or a church that you'll be interested in going to. If they seem welcoming, if they were loving. Because the first law, if people want to be real with the word of God, is is to love.
Love. That's it, right? Love.
Love covers a multitude of sins.
Did you see this? I just saw this, and I hardly watch these videos, but somewhere I saw this video of a pastor who was saying to a transgender woman that she should leave the church.
I think I saw
it just
that
came
too.
up. I just barely saw it, and it was, you know,
heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking. He was saying, you know, you're a man, you're dressing like a woman, leave my church. And he was going on and on. It had like, I don't know how it just popped up, but I found it so heartbreaking and so the opposite of what any God, right, would want, is to first of all pick somebody out, say to that person, hey, this person is saying I'm a woman, and you're saying no, you're a man. And he said, you're a drag queen. No drag queens are allowed here. But I didn't get to see the person, but I'm sure that person was good. If you go to church, because drag queen is a performer, right? And a transgender woman is someone who is saying, I am a woman, and is a woman.
Right.
So there's two different things. So
they don't understand.
Yeah, to him saying, you know, get out of my church as a drag queen. Right. He's like, no one's going to go to church as a drag queen. That person's a woman.
Right.
You know, so that was hard to see. Let's see. What is your next goal after you gain more exposure? That's a great question.
Okay. After I gain more exposure, it will be to do a tour. Okay. I also have my own entertainment company. So my goal is to put out those dope, great artists who are of the LGBTQ community.
Oh, nice.
I actually have an artist. His name is Mr. Dynamite.
Okay,
Look up Mr. Dynamite on iTunes. His first single is out entitled Mr. Dynamite.
Okay, great.
So that is my goal, to really push the LGBTQ community, because we don't have a lot of people out there who are open. Now, we have gay entertainers,
of course,
and bisexual entertainers. Yes. They will never tell anyone. It's still not acceptable. It's still not acceptable.
I think the world has changed a lot, but it's still not fully acceptable.
Still not acceptable.
Right.
So Frank Ocean, I applaud Frank Ocean. I love him. He's a super dope writer and singer. And he came out, and that was major for him to be of African American descent and come out and say, hey, this is who I am. A man.
Right, a man. Right.
Because with us, you know, they'd be like, okay, we could throw her on a dress, or we could do whatever and make her look a certain type of way, and it wouldn't matter because she'll still be appealing to a man.
Right.
But if, you know, if she was like a butch, then no go.
Right.
So you would have to wear some kind of makeup and look a little feminine to be accepted.
Right.
My goal is to push the people who don't look like the world want them to look.
Right, but they have good music.
But they have great music.
Great music. Yeah.
That's my goal.
Good. I love that.
Yeah.
We definitely want to see more of that. And where can people learn more about your like artists and so on? Okay,
Mr. Dynamite. You can find Mr. Dynamite, Mister.
Okay.
Dynamite, Dinomite on Facebook. You can find him on Instagram. His single is out on iTunes, Spotify, Tidal, all music platforms.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so you can look up Mr. Dynamite.
And then you can follow Octavia at I am Octavia G on Instagram, and we'll put the links in on Instagram. Facebook,
and then
and Twitter. You said
Twitter as well.
Yeah,
I am Octavia G.
Yeah, and if people want to hear your actual music, how do they hear your music?
They can hear me on SoundCloud at I am spacebar Octavia G. So instead of it running all together, it's a space in between. On SoundCloud as well as YouTube, you can see some of my live shows on YouTube. I am spacebar Octavia G.
Okay, great. And who are some of the musicians and singers who influenced you?
Oh my God!
We know one is Michael Jackson. We know Michael
Jackson. Prince.
Prince. I love Prince.
Oh God, I love
Prince. He really impacted
me. And he also impacted me because he was a male who dressed like a female,
and
he was one of the most talented people ever created.
I look at you know, I have many of his albums, and look at how this is a man in the 70s, 80s, 90s was wearing blouses, heels, had his hair done. Like
laid,
right? Had his hair laid, and he was to be so courageous and just rocking.
Right, he was just secure.
Yeah, he really was. He was fierce.
Yeah,
you know, people challenge, are you gay? Are you this? And he said he wasn't. And who knows, in the end, we don't know.
In the end, we don't know.
But he was definitely gender non-conforming.
Yes.
And he rocked it so well. So he did send a good message to me to feel like, you know, I was a girl dressing like a boy and he was a boy dressing, and I put the quotes around what's expected of us.
Right.
Okay, another good question. Thank you for co-hosting with us today, Queen San. How do you see yourself compared to other rappers?
I'm just different. I mean, because I sing and I rap, there's a lot of singing, rapping going on now. It wasn't that way before. We had a few like Lauren the lovely Queen Lauryn Hill and Missy Elliott. Yeah. People seem to compare me to Missy Elliott all the time. I love her. She's absolutely so adore her. She's dope. And so compared to other people, I don't like to compare myself. I just want to stand out and be bold and be Octavia Kingskid.
Okay. Yeah. Are there rappers that influenced you? Because we said Prince, Michael Jackson for like kind of like music in terms of broader. Like R&B, Prince was like funk. Prince.
Oh my God, but yeah, but I love Patti LaBelle. I love Stephanie Mills. They were some of the R&B side, and then for the rapping side, I said Lauryn Hill and Missy Elliott. They're two of my favorite. I love the Brat. I love MC Lyte. And Queen Latifah is one of my faves. Yeah.
It's funny because growing up, we saw people like MC Lyte and Queen Latifah, and we don't know who they were. In some ways, we wondered if they were gay.
Right, they're tomboyish too.
They couldn't say, you know, it was a time where I think people couldn't talk about it in the 80s and 90s.
There was Queen is Jamaican.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. I know she lived in New Jersey.
I believe she's of Jamaican descent.
Okay, I'm not sure, but I know now she's with a woman, and I don't think she's come out like very outspoken, but I know that she's family. But it's an interesting dynamic that we had where we saw people who appeared to be gay but couldn't say they were gay, but they were being themselves.
Right.
They dressed how they wanted to dress, so that was good. Right. I don't know about the lyrics, if they're able to do the lyrics they want to do. Because when you sing, you want to talk about a woman, you're going to talk about a woman. Right. So I would say, I remember MC Lyte had songs about men and so on. And I still don't know what's her story.
MC Lyte is actually married to a man.
Okay, married to a man.
She is
and I was married to a man, so we don't, we don't know what that means. It doesn't necessarily mean. Right. Yeah. So but I know what you're saying. Yeah. Right. So do you have a particular coming out story in terms of, you know, you're saying similar to me at some point, you were somewhat, you would say, homophobic, right? What was it and when was it? Or like, give us a sense of like you deciding to be yourself.
You know, I believe that I just was always an open individual. I always look at women and be like, oh my God, they're beautiful.
Okay.
I never thought of anything else behind it. My god sister was in Atlanta. She had this fine boyfriend. He was this Puerto Rican guy. And to me, he was bomb, and they were together for some years. And when I got there, she told me she had a girlfriend. So, of course, I went through my spiel of crying and why and what are you doing? You got this guy who love you and want to be with you, and now you got a girlfriend.
What are you doing?
And oh my God, and I met her girlfriend. And I just loved her. I loved her spirit. I loved everything about her. And that opened your mind. And it opened my mind up into like, what? Are you serious? You know, because I'm curious. I'm thinking about it. And I think that made me more so curious about why would she do it? And then they had a friend who found me attractive, who was beautiful to me. Yeah. And I was like, girl, but why? Now I'm like, why? Yeah. Why would you do this? And from that point, it just, my curiosity opened my mind, and I was like, you know what? I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind trying it. I don't know if I like it or wouldn't like it. And tried it and didn't want to leave. I'm good. Found myself.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's why it's so important to have visibility, because when you don't see people who are gay, it's easier to say, like growing up in Jamaica, I didn't see people who are gay. I knew like one person who was, but she didn't have like a girlfriend with her. I just knew she was a lesbian. So when people are visible and you get to see it for yourself, then lots of times it lets down our walls and guards and we get more accepting. Because one of the first things that opened my mind was friends, two men, they're brothers, twin brothers, and they both were gay. And I remember when I first heard it, I was devastated, I was upset. And then sitting and talking to them and getting an understanding that they were doing just who they were. They didn't one day wake up and say, guess what, I'm gay. This is who they've been, this is who they are. And just trying to open my mind. And that started to open my mind. And other things started to take place where I heard stories of people like David was working with people who were gay in his offices in New York City. And I'm just like hearing more, and like you just start to open your mind and be like, oh, these are regular people. Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you had all this stuff you'd heard for years. So
that's what we were taught.
What we were taught, right. We were taught,
and it's almost like a slavery mentality, because it's okay for everyone to come into Christ, right? It's okay for anyone. They say, oh, if you was a drug dealer, come. If you was a whoremonger, come.
Right.
But if you're gay, no.
Wow.
That's the way we were taught.
Right.
It's like this mentality that we have, and even though years have been by and things have things have changed, we're still stuck when it comes to that.
Right.
But it's mostly in our community.
It's right here.
So what is it about us as a people that keeps us down?
Right. And creates so much pain for people. There are people who feel suicidal. People who feel like they don't want to go on.
They don't want to go on because their mother or their father
are not accepting them.
Have not accepted them.
People who can't, like Thanksgiving is coming up. There's some people
can't
who
even
can't
go
go
to
home.
their family.
Right. So
it's
all
sad.
of this, and it's
all
so
because
sad.
Of who you love.
Yeah, and that people should just be much more accepting. So
right.
Hopefully, I think that as more of us are open and living our lives, we influence people to be more accepting.
Right.
Things that, like what you're doing with your place of worship, where you're accepting, and other people places of worship, makes a big difference. So glad you're doing.
We need more of that, though, in the church community. In the faith-based communities, we need more acceptance. And we also need more education, because we're not, even in our own communities, in our own LGBTQ communities, that accepting towards one another.
Right. You mean that
I had a woman who is clearly a stud tell me she had a problem with a man dressed in wearing a dress and reading to kids.
Oh, that's terrible.
How do you...
Right, like you're dressed here, like you're here in a shirt and tie, you're like, but why is that person in a dress? It doesn't matter.
No. Why would that bother that kid?
No.
Why would that hurt that kid? But he's doing something to make a difference.
Right.
He's reading to kids. He's teaching them about being included and being and accepting people for who they are. But you, as a gay woman, have a problem with that. There's something wrong with our mentality.
You're right. We still have a lot of work within the community.
We need to educate. People in the community need to be educated.
Right. To be accepting of everyone.
Yeah.
We can't be like, please accept me.
Yeah.
Accept me, but not that guy.
Not this person.
Or like not someone who's transgender.
Transgender. Oh, no, no, not that.
Right.
I don't want my kid with that person. Are you kidding me?
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we definitely need more of that for sure.
Yeah.
So where are we on time? I want to make sure that, do you have the time, Kyra?
6:28.
Oh, okay, we have a couple more minutes. So please, everybody, follow Octavia. And I want to big up Octavia, too, because she performed at Thou Art Woman. I produced Thou Art Woman, which is an event for LGBTQ women here in Fort Lauderdale. I think was it earlier this year, or was it November? November. And you rocked this stage. People told me they love your performance.
Oh, thank you.
And we hope to have you back. And the next
definitely want to be back at the next event. Definitely.
The next event is March 2019 coming up.
Yes.
Please go to thouartwoman.com and you can get tickets and you can RSVP. We're going to put tickets on sale in December. You can also follow Thou Art Woman on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm going to also share a little bit that we have, in addition to the Performing Arts Night, we have a visual arts show. So we have a call to artists for people who paint and do sculptures. Awesome. So if anybody who's in the Fort Lauderdale area, South Florida, it could be Dade, Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Broward, who wants to be a part of the art show, please submit your work. We have a deadline of December 16th. Any other questions? We have a few more minutes with Octavia. I really appreciate you coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I'm so blessed to be here.
Yeah, so I have what's called Queer Conversations closing questions. I just want to ask you a few.
Okay.
You just go off the top and just answer how you feel best. Okay, so what inspires you?
Love.
Love inspires you. Okay. What makes you laugh?
I'm kind of a clown.
That's good.
I love jokes, joking around. It makes me laugh. My son makes me laugh all the time. Yeah.
Congratulations on your little boy. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
And what's sexy to you?
Beautiful sisters are
beautiful
sexy
sisters.
to me.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I won't disagree with you. That's, yes, beautiful sisters.
Yeah.
And so you said in terms of identifying, you identified Octavia, right? What's so great about being Octavia?
I'm free to be me.
Perfect.
I choose to live my life out loud and let the chips fall where they may, but I'm going to be me until the day I'm called home.
Okay, beautiful. Yes, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and everybody follow Octavia. Look out for more from her
follow
music.
me
And
on
you have a
Instagram.
performance tomorrow.
Oh, yes, I have a performance tomorrow.
So for those of you who are in South Florida, is it at Cloud9?
Cloud9 in Davie, yes.
Okay. So what time? Just tell a little, as we're close, tell a little bit about it.
So I'll be performing. My artist, Mr. Dynamite, will be performing at Cloud9, which is in Davie. I believe it's off of Sterling, but you can go to Facebook and find Cloud9 Lounge. Excuse me. Cloud9 Lounge on Facebook, and you should get the address and directions there. I will be performing.
What time?
It's going to be late night. So
like what,
this
10?
is club party. 10 for you, late night.
11, midnight?
Like I'm getting there probably about 11, 12.
Wow.
So probably about 1 or 2. But this party goes on to 4.
Okay, so it's a real late night.
It's a real late night, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Plus, you guys don't have to go to work the next day. It is Thanksgiving, so what a great way to bring in your Thanksgiving by coming and celebrating and partying with me. Okay. Oh, by the way, I just dropped my single, Jukin' and Vibin', which is on the hip-hop side, on the 15th of this month. So I will be performing that single, and Mr. Dynamite will be performing his. So please come out and support your girl, okay?
Yeah, Cloud9 tomorrow, Wednesday. What's that, November 21st?
Yes,
People are watching it.
Wednesday, November 21st at Cloud9. Come out after work and have a great time. Let your hair down. Come dance with me.
Yes. Okay, thanks again. Take care, everyone. Bye. Thanks for joining us.